Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Gail Fugit.
Hi, everyone. We have some really fun things to close off the afternoon with. It's my great pleasure to introduce another ARF board member, Jeffrey Graham. He leads global research at Twitter. He is one of the leaders that also demonstrates the capabilities and the skills and the talent, the inspiration to lead the research industry. He's built a great organization. He's continuing to build it. And as I've been trying to tweet Brad Smallwood, I've been tweeting Jeffrey, and it's been a little more successful with Jeffrey because Brad Smallwood is not the Brad Smallwood that we know here on Twitter. But please join me in welcoming Jeffrey Graham to the stage, and he's going to lead us in the next paper section.
Thank you, Gail. At Twitter, we're really grateful to be here, to have the opportunity to present research. We're also really happy that Twitter has been integrated into this event, and for every tweet that goes up on the screen, Twitter is public, so it goes out to the rest of the world, people in the industry, our brands, our clients. And so our team has been very closely following these tweets, obviously, and has picked out a few that we think really exemplify the conversation that's going on here today. I missed Joan Lewis's session this morning, and Dave Morgan, who has something like 8,000 followers on Twitter, kind of captured this idea that as researchers, sometimes a topic can be complex, that we understand it, but our clients may not. So I was really happy that a conversation within these walls made it outside to the rest of the industry. Joel Rubinson, who tweets his daily newsletter on Twitter to 5,000 followers every day, I think captured a really nice kind of meta conversation at this conference, where he says that we need to think about reconciling audience measurement with audience targeting, and that's an important thing to think about. But when we looked at all of these tweets, there was one really that for us kind of felt the most profound, and really, I think, demonstrates the heart of what's going on here at the conference and in the industry. So we're really grateful to Rick. Thank you, Rick, for sending out good vibes to the rest of the world for the fun that we're having here at ARF. So I'm really happy to introduce three really great papers today about a variety of subjects, but really kind of capture how analytics can lead to a really great answer to an important question. And I'm going to introduce the first set of presenters. We have Jeff Boehme from Kantar Media Audiences and Joe Shantz from Millward Brown Digital, who are going to talk about whether big TV events work. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone. I hope you had a great lunch, and I hope you're enjoying the program. Yesterday and this morning, you heard a lot about television and the value of television, how it's permeating different screens, different content, and different applications. The question for us today that we wanted to answer was, do big TV events still work? And the question that Joe and I tried to address were that marketers are paying big money still for big TV events, a lot more money than they used to. And the question is it worth it? So when Joe and I sat down, we had actually two more questions. One, can bigger data, can bigger analytics actually prove the value or perhaps disprove it? And then the other question is, how do you evaluate it? And what we said was, what would be really interesting at this conference is to bring big television together with online television to see what would happen. So what our method was essentially is to take the commercial tuning behavior that we derive from our Kantar Media Audiences return path data, where we can actually differentiate the audiences between commercials and program content. We then turned to Millward Brown with their online panels to measure online activity from site, search, and video. and together to bring you some idea about the impact of big event TV on online activity. So what was the study? We took a look at two events, the Super Bowl and the Academy Awards. And what we did was really two things. One, identify the top-rated sponsors, and from then analyze the commercial behavior on those sponsors, and then track their media spend as well as the performance. On the online side, we took a look at the visits before, during, and after to the brand site, how they searched, and video if there was any. The criteria we used, as explained, Super Bowl and the Academy Awards. Why? The Super Bowl, no question, is the highest rated event there is. Average price tag of about $4 million and very high commercial interest. About 87 commercials ran in the Super Bowl last time, and the two sponsors that we looked at were Chevrolet and Budweiser, with 2 and 5 spots respectively. We then took a look at the Academy Awards, highest rated ceremony there is on TV, one of the top rated shows, average price tag of about $1.5 million, with increased commercial interest, but you'll see actually performs differently. 67 commercials, 2 sponsors we're looking at, Samsung and JCPenney. Let's first take a look at the television audiences. And what we see about the Super Bowl, which is amazing, is that the commercial ratings and the audiences are almost as high as the program itself. Translation, audiences do not leave the Super Bowl. Why? Because of the action of the game, but also because the Super Bowl is an event upon itself where the commercials are almost as popular as the score. What we did is we took a look at those specific advertisers, and here you see several columns, and we won't dwell on them, but the important one is the last one, which is CTI, and that's the Commercial Tuning Index. And what that does is it compares the commercial rating to the program rating. And as you can see, these indices are pretty similar, all around 100, high 90s, meaning that the audience does not leave the program. And that's the value of return path data. And when you start thinking about programmatic and some of the data that will fuel it, you really need to know more than C3 or C7 going forward. It's important to understand the value of the audiences to commercials. So you see the average of all of the commercials, about 98.9 or 99. That means that the commercials are hitting the same audience as the game itself with very little turnaround. So the perspective and the implication are that sponsors are well represented in the Super Bowl no matter where it is, except for some games where you see some of those scores perhaps go down. But this last one, which was a landslide, we really didn't see a material difference between the commercial and the program audience. The networks also use it as an incredible promotional vehicle. The Oscars are a little bit different. And notice how the commercials vary by the placements. So again, we've keyed in on 2 advertisers, JCPenney and Samsung. And if you notice that the 87 commercials for the Oscars had an average CTI of about 78.2, not 100, not 99. This means that the placements of those ads are very important within the context of the show, unlike the Super Bowl. However, when you look at this one spot that I'll bring to your attention, and we'll talk about this in a second, that Samsung 958 spot, 30 seconds long, had an index of about 98.5. It's very interesting when you think about the Oscars, because what happened? And if you did watch the event, there was a selfie. And what happened? This was not a commercial, but you saw Ellen actually take Samsung and actually take a phone and started to take a selfie of herself and those fans. Now that wasn't media placement per se with the network, but it was dramatically effective because notice that this selfie took place about 9:57, that was followed directly by the Samsung spot that miraculously retained the audience from the program right into the commercial. So now Joe's going to talk about some implications for online.
So what we're going to talk about for the results are 4 key metrics. We're going to look at unique visitors to the brand sites, the visits to those sites, the branded search activity, as well as the ad views to the branded YouTube placements that each of the brands have. We're going to look at these on an average daily basis, both 7 days prior to the event, during the event, and then 7 days after the event, all on an average daily basis. So let's first talk about Chevrolet and their Super Bowl sponsorship. So as you can see, on the day of the event, they achieved nearly double the unique visitors, slightly more than double of the visits on both GM.com and Chevrolet.com. We saw a significant lift in branded search and a 34% increase in YouTube ad views. And this actually extended beyond the event itself. And we actually saw, anecdotally, we saw that this increased even a month out. So these are really strong results. I want to just take a quick step back and talk about what branded search and YouTube ad views are and why we're looking at them. So when we talk about branded search, we're specifically talking about measuring the number of brand mentions in the search box. And for YouTube ad views, what we're looking at is not pre-rolls. We're actually looking at people who are going to YouTube and specifically consuming those ads and viewing those ads as content. So what's relevant about this is that this is the connection that consumers have directly with the brand. So let's talk a little bit about Budweiser. So like Chevrolet, they also had strong gains in each of those 4 metrics. What's exciting about this is that they actually were able to extend what they were able to achieve during the Super Bowl well after the Super Bowl. We're just looking at average 7-day post-event, but when we look at site metrics, what we're able to see is that the website visitation actually increased through March, and even now I think is still trending higher than pre-event as well. What's really powerful about this is that YouTube in particular, Budweiser really did a lot of pre-sponsorship work on driving visitation to their YouTube branded site. And Puppy Love, just one of their spots to date, has just under 51 million views for that particular spot. So very powerful. So let's talk a little bit about Samsung. Now we're on the Oscars. And so you can see the results are really strong, but they're not as strong as Super Bowl. And we would expect that just given the reach of the Super Bowl, as well as the fact that Super Bowl is really, when we talk about advertising, it's really an event within an event. So site visitation up, branded search up. This also extended post 7-day, which is great. And when we look at JCPenney, a different advertiser, what we're looking at here, again, strong gains on the event day, still good gains post 7-day, but not quite as strong as the event day. And this is where we're really starting to see how marketers can really execute big TV events. The sponsorship and really the ownership that Samsung had in the Oscars really helped them to drive a lot more post-engagement beyond just the event itself. So in terms of conclusions, yes, big TV events work. We're able to determine a strong behavioral response from TV events. Super Bowl obviously is a special consideration because advertising itself is an event within the event. But aside from that, there's a real opportunity for advertisers to use other big TV events and really create not only some ownership, but using events within that event, such as the selfie, and then using advertising to really help to support that as well, really generate some big gains. And talking about killer creative equals killer content, what we're really saying here is that, you know, when an advertiser goes on to the Super Bowl, they know that there's going to be a lot of scrutiny about the creative itself, and there's an opportunity for advertisers with big events to really use that opportunity to really drive great creative, and that creative is going to generate the kinds of visitation to YouTube. As we saw in the results, there really wasn't, on the Oscars, there weren't a lot of people going to YouTube to watch the ads. but that's something that advertisers can potentially change. We're really excited about this as an opportunity. This is one of the projects that we worked on. We're actually working on a number of projects with other clients where we're able to merge TV data with behavioral data on the web analytics side. So this is something we're really excited about. The data exists, and we're developing solutions now. Thank you.
Thank you.